Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new episode of our F123 Driver Career Mode. I hope you're all having a great day. Today we have round 2 of Season 3 with some good news. We have Spec 3 of the powertrain department upgraded now, so we can now actually upgrade the powertrain again and make upgrades on the car in general. I decided to get a little bit risky here and rush an upgrade to try and get it in before round 2 going into Baku, and then I went with a standard timed one after that. Unfortunately, the rushed upgrade failed, so we will not be coming into Baku with a single upgrade to the car. And Mercedes actually brings an upgrade this weekend here, fresh off of their 1-2 in the season opener in Australia. Myself and Yuki Tsunoda, P6 and P7 last weekend out. Of course, a 16 race season. 8 less races, just about 7 less races, of course, than we're used to with the 23 on the board. So it's a bit more of a condensed season here as we come into this Azerbaijan weekend. So just weekend number 2 of the season, and it's already a sprint weekend now as well. On top of that, weather is going to play a role. It is supposed to rain in the later half of the Grand Prix. The sprint, qualifying, practice, all supposed to be dry here. We would get out on track in practice, and I would have some issues. We had some trouble in Australia practice. This car not as good as it was last season. I was facing the same issues again, just struggling with the handling. Mainly the braking was a big problem for me in free practice 1. We of course had a lot of grip issues in practice in Australia, so a completely different issue this time around. But yeah, braking was a big problem for me in free practice 1. I did, however, play around with some brake bias and whatnot and just some stuff in the setup, and got it to a point where I was relatively comfortable, but not to a point where I felt like I was able to drive at my maximum, and it showed here in the leaderboard. P19 out of 20 cars here now as we would roll through into qualifying a little bit later in the day. Now, last time out in Australia, we saw the rookie for Connor Sport, Aiden Jackson, impress quite well, made it all the way through to Q3. Will he be able to back that up overall this weekend with another good run? We'll have to wait and see. As we cruise through into Q2, not the most comfortably actually. We were P11 as my teammate of Tsunoda only manages 13th. As you can see, Bottas, Lawson, Butler, Iwasa, and Sargent, the 5 drivers out. So a few of the rookies now as we come through into Q2. Now our only lap, we only got time for 1 lap here in Q2, nearly into the barrier there as we go down into turn 2. And overall, it was a decent start to the lap. Could have been a bit more aggressive, but still struggling to be confident on the braking here as we go down into turn 3, and there was a bit of a lock up there, and I turn out of the corner, and that's going to be it. I wasted too much time before I went to make a lap, so we're not going to have enough to make a second. We've completely thrown, and that's going to put us in a 15th place starting position for, thankfully, the sprint race that we have coming to us. Our teammate of Tsunoda could not make it to Q3. The struggles of this new Aston Martin and Honda partnership a little bit further down the R&D development tree compared to last season when we were with the Mercedes partnership is certainly starting to show here now as we're going to roll straight into the formation lap for the sprint race here on Saturday in Azerbaijan.
Here we go then. The formation lap is underway ahead of today's sprint. We're almost ready to start the sprint as the cars take their positions on the grid, with the drivers and teams making their final preparations.
Alright team, we got some work to do here today and probably tomorrow as well. I'm up for the challenge and hope you guys are as well.
We're right here with you, mate. Get after it today.
It has not been an easy start to Season 3 so far, much more difficult than Season 2. Hopefully we can rebound nicely here. As you can see, that Williams Martini of Logan Sargent rolling up to the back of the grid. We're ready to go racing. There's rookie Aiden Jackson in the Connor Sport machine. They're just in front of us. It's going to be lights out. The 2 Mercedes of Hamilton and Russell lead the way down towards turn 1. It's a terrible start for Russell. A great start for Hamilton into the first turn. A little bit of contact there between Russell and one of the Red Bulls there as they go by. And you can see 3 wide. Look at Hamilton. Long gone down the road. Says, see you later. He's practically won the sprint already with a gap of that margin over the Red Bull there of Max Verstappen. Russell stays in third. Norris in front of his teammate now of Alex Albon as they head on this long straightaway run down towards turn number 3 as well. You can see the 2 McLarens, of course, running right there together. A good run for them as well out in the season opener in Australia, where we saw Alex Albon get the best of Lando Norris there with a solid podium result there for Albon as well. The 2 Ferraris as well right there with one another. I myself P14. So we gain only 1 position on the start here now as we kind of get things underway. Lap 1 of just 9 laps, of course, in the sprint. Very short as usual. And I'm just now realizing the season finale, Brazil, is a sprint weekend. That's going to be interesting. Up ahead, lap 2. That's the rookie of Aiden Jackson lunging 1-3 wide. They're going after it. This rookie, he has proven just in Australia alone, he is not afraid to get the elbows out and go attack mode, basically. I go around the outside there of the Alpine of Esteban Ocon here, so we settle into 13th. It's not going to be long until we have an opportunity to overtake the slowest car on the grid, of course, Connor Sport. Not a very quick car, and that's what's making what Aiden Jackson's done in Australia and so far this weekend so impressive, as he's, well, outrun his teammate of Devin Butler quite comfortably, as Butler right now is quite a few spots down, and as well, he's just putting his car in really good positions. But of course, it's only race 2 of the season, so a lot of time for this kid to potentially throw everything away as well. Let me know down below, are you impressed by his AI so far? He would drop down the order though. Ocon would get past him, Bottas and the BMW would pass him as well. BMW and Connor Sport, 2 of the new teams to the grid, of course, this season have been having their struggles, but that's kind of expected for season 1 of their, lifespan in Formula 1. We have caught up to the back of this train late in the sprint, lap 7 to the left side of the Williams right there of Oscar Piastri. My teammate of Tsunoda goes defensive down towards turn 3. He's wheel to wheel right here with Oscar as we come through the exit of the corner down towards turn number 4 there, wheel to wheel still, and maybe a little bit of contact there, and then Piastri shuts the door late on me there. Thank goodness we don't get damage out of that, but it was the front straightaway at the end of the lap when we get the opportunity to actually overtake him. But he also has DRS along with myself, so it's a straight up drag race here into the first turn, and it's about who's more brave on the brakes, and surprisingly it's me, even with the braking issues we've had this weekend in free practice. So straight to the end of the sprint, I couldn't do anything else. We made that pass, got to P11, that was it. Lewis Hamilton picks up the win over George Russell. Mercedes 1-2 in Australian Grand Prix, now a 1-2 in the sprint in Baku. Can they continue that into the Azerbaijan Grand Prix? We'll wait and see. No points for Aston Martin. This starting partnership with Honda, not off to a great start. Of course, we're at a circuit where the powertrain is everything, and it's certainly showing that that's not our strong suit right now. So we got to continue to work with Honda and try to, of course, get more speed out of those engines. Now, we're going to head to the grid Sunday in Azerbaijan.
And a warm welcome to you from Azadlik Square, heart of Baku, and home, of course, to the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. With high speeds, tight corners, and few runoff zones, many are expecting a safety car here today. So our drivers will have to stay very much on their toes, and hopefully out of the barriers. With 20 turns and a length of 3.7 miles, Baku City Circuit in the heart of the Azerbaijan capital is a real test of a driver's endurance, patience, and precision. 90-degree corners through Sector 1 lead into a tightening uphill sprint as we start to circle around the old city. Then a 1.4-mile chase flat out through Sector 3 towards the finish line. It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. An immense lap from Lewis Hamilton yesterday puts him on pole position. And starting next to them is George Russell. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Leclerc, Perez, Verstappen, Sainz, Albon, Gasly, Tsunoda, Golden Boy, Oscar Piastri, Ocon, Norris, Bottas, Teo Pourchaire, Jackson, Liam Lawson, Butler, Sargent, and Ayumu Iwasa. Now it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track. Anthony Davidson joins me once again in the commentary box, and it's fantastic to have you with us here, but I'm curious, as a man with experience out on the track, how do you stop those pre-race nerves from becoming overwhelming when you're lining up on the grid?
Well, I imagine they'll be starting to feel the adrenaline as they anticipate the run down into turn 1, a bit like preparing to go into battle. The unknown situation will bring nerves, but that's a good thing. It will keep them focused on the moment and on their surroundings as we build towards the start of the Grand Prix.
An unexpected grid penalty for Lando Norris allows us to go up 1 spot to start P10. Look at this strategy here. It's usual. Mediums to hards. Now it is going to rain. I did mention it's going to rain, but it looks like it's going to be pretty brief around the midway point. It only shows 1 slot, so we'll see what happens.
Here we go then. The formation lap gets underway and the excitement here is building as we near ever closer to the start of the race. Which team will come out on top? Who's got their strategies right for today's race? But we'll soon find out.
All right, guys, let's not screw this up today. A real shot at a podium here.
We got a fast car, boys. I'll get us a good result today, even with the penalty.
We're almost ready to start the race as the cars take their positions on the grid, with the drivers and teams making their final preparations.
Okay, we made progress in the sprint. Let's just focus on doing the same today.
Yeah, 10-4. Any update on the rain on the way?
Looks like about 20 or so minutes out as of right now.
Well, you hear the update right there. So the rain, it's a ways out based off of what Mark's seeing on his radar and whatnot. Here is the BMW Ayumu Iwasa pulling up to the back of the grid. We are ready to roll for the Baku City, Azerbaijan Grand Prix. 9th and 10th for Aston Martin Honda. We're ready to go racing here, right behind Pierre Gasly and that Alpine is lights out. We're underway. A terrible start for my teammate of Tsunoda, who's going to surely drop down multiple positions. I'm going to lunge one up the inside, 3 wide. A great launch off the grid, but I didn't feel comfortable being 3 wide right there with Pierre Gasly. Alex Albon drops down to 8th place. Not a great start there for him as we go down through turn number 2, and everybody's already gotten sorted out pretty well. A lot of chaos in the back. Devin Butler with an aggressive move found himself 3 wide on the exit of turn 2, but he's made up some ground. He's alongside the Alfa Romeo Haas. You can see a bit of a defensive move from Valtteri Bottas. They're going to get real aggressive. Butler sends one 3 wide in the middle. A lot of contact there. I'm sure Bottas is not going to be a fan of that move. They really took advantage of him. As you can see, these guys continuing to wheel these things around this circuit, but everybody seems to get through pretty well without any damage or anything. A lot of different tire strategy as well, as you saw in the formation lap. You know, you got Albon in front of us on softs, you got myself on mediums, Gasly on mediums, Piastri, my teammate of Tsunoda, on hards. So I mean, we got all 3 different tire compounds just in the vicinity of ourselves. Norris started on the softs. He's already up to P11. You heard his radio pre-race. He's confident in his McLaren speed now as we continue on. I nearly went into the barrier right there as we continue. Norris now up into 10th place on lap 3 as I was kind of stuck behind Alex Albon, looking for a way to navigate around him, and this is going to make it easy. Albon goes around into the barrier. The left rear wheel has fallen off the virtual safety car, and now the red flag is going to fly for just the 2nd time in the last 2 seasons here, the 3rd time ever in this F123 career mode. The exact same scenario what brought us to 1 red flag last season was at Baku. Same corner, same car. McLaren, however, I believe it was Lando Norris. We are now going to be racing right around the time of the rain by the time this race gets restarted. So they are telling us we're going to do soft tires to start. It looks like the rain's still a ways out. You can see the slot we're going to be starting in, still cloudy with no rain. So we're going to get ready to roll now on the soft tire, assuming the rain is minutes from hitting. If it's a ways out, we're going to regret this. And look at this. It's already raining. We might have a huge curveball thrown at this Grand Prix. It's going to be once again lights out. We're underway on just lap 5 here in Baku, and everyone's slipping and sliding around. Perez, a slow start. Hamilton as well. Russell to the lead. Verstappen 3 wide up the inside. Contact with Sainz. Leclerc's at a downfall. He's down to 7th place. We're wheel to wheel with Perez now as he is trying to look up around the outside of Verstappen into turn number 2. Everyone's leaning on each other, slipping and sliding around. You can see the grip is already going away, and the 2 Mercedes are long gone down the road. Sainz 3rd, Verstappen 4th. We have managed to slip through into 5th as Perez trying to look up the inside as we dive down into turn 3. Nearly contact right there with Verstappen. Everyone's starting to struggle here, and the track conditions would quickly deteriorate within the same lap. You can already see the puddling starting to form, and a little bit later in the lap as we went into the castle section, you can see, sure enough, as I nearly wrecked myself, it is very much so, in fact, time to get onto an intermediate tire. So we're going to be coming in to the pit lane at the end of lap 5 on the inters, and it would have been a gigabrain strat if anybody started this restart on the intermediate tire. However, not going to be the situation. We're going to come in and we're going to come through to get that intermediate, and we're going to see a lot of double stacking here. So pit lane about to get wild here. Our teammate of Yuki Tsunoda, the 2 Mercedes are in. Some drivers have stayed on track. I just saw Devin Butler, maybe Oscar Piastri as well. We're going to throw the intermediate on. Where are we going to come out? We were about P5 when we came in. We're going to come out behind. Actually, we're inside of Sainz, but we're behind Russell. That's the only one in front of us. So we're going to be a net P2 after the pit lane chaos. Hamilton's taking a huge hit. So, I mean, already a lot of chaos here as I nearly make things worse. I tapped the barrier there. I overshot the corner. Fortunately, no damage. I used a lot of my battery to make sure I stay ahead right there of Carlos Sainz. So by the time everything got cycled out, it was Russell, myself, Sainz, the top three, Esteban Ocon into 4th place over Verstappen. Lando Norris is now up into P6. Of course, his teammate of Albon down and out. How about Aiden Jackson in the Connor Sport, P7, in front of Lewis Hamilton, Logan Sargent in the points as well. The rookie of Jackson continues to impress here as we continue on. As you see, Leclerc is way down the order. Perez fighting with Valtteri Bottas in that BMW. Liam Lawson, one of the rookies there, just in front of another rookie of Devin Butler. My teammate of Tsunoda really got the short end of the stick of all of that. He's down to P16. Piastri as well, way down the order. Tailport Chair and Ayumu Iwasa there, all the way at the bottom of the grid. So here I am trying to take my Rain Masterclass that we've shown so many times in this career mode so far, and hopefully allow me to take the charge to George Russell. We were gaining time, 2.5 seconds a gap between himself and I, and we were pulling away from Sainz, over 3 seconds between himself and I, and we were starting to show that masterclass that we're known for, but the rain is not far from stopping. It was basically a really short rain shower. Safety car again, as now that's going to throw another curveball at us. It was Valtteri Bottas who's gone around all on his own, and it causes a big stack up, similar to when we saw the red flag. It would get cleared out pretty quickly though, and then he would actually get stuck on the curb. So Valtteri Bottas in his second race with this new BMW team out. The rain would stop on the very same lap. So I make a very late call to come into the pits, and we're going to put on the hard tire. This is an extremely risky call because we don't know if the track is going to be dry by the time we go back racing or not. However, if everybody has to pit once we go green for a dry tire and we don't, we have a huge advantage. You can see I was struggling hard just under safety car conditions to keep this car, on the racing surface. It was pretty treacherous, but we would catch up to the safety car queue. We're P10, and we're just hoping that the rain stops. Or, sorry, the rain has stopped. We're hoping the track dries. But now, a huge development here. George Russell, now lap 13 out of the Grand Prix from the lead. He's had a mechanical failure, so the Mercedes driver is going to be out and done for here in Baku. That's going to shift the lead now to Carlos Sainz. We're going to get back and ready to roll. One of the main reasons I decided to make this risky call is we're not going to win this race on speed. It's pretty evident we don't have it early on in the season, but we could win this race on strategy. And here we are, back racing. How is this car going to drive? And actually, I feel like we might have hit the jackpot here, as the track, although you see a lot of spray coming up from the tires, once we've gone green, it feels like we have just gotten to a point now where we're in that crossover, where the tires, the dries aren't faster, but they're not, slower than the inters. Trying to make a move to the inside of Perez, you can see I'm still struggling a little bit, but by the end of the lap, we would be able to maintain a gap, and everybody is flooding into the pit lane. You can see how much drier it is getting here. So now everyone coming into the pits for a set of dry tires. We have hit a jackpot strategy. It was risky, but it has worked. Will it be enough to get the victory? That's the question that will have to be answered later. Now, as you can see the difference now later in this lap, we are just moving on these hards. So we're going to pass Perez. Pierre Gasly is up next. You see Piastri with a 5-second penalty. It had something to do with that incident that we saw with the safety car. But we get past Gasly, move to the lead of the Grand Prix. DRS now enabled into turn 1 as I have a huge moment into turn 1, because that was my first time, I feel like, not following a car into the corner, and I just completely zoned out. And then I also got on the curb and it just locked up and slid. But look at the gap right now. So it's not actually 11 seconds. It's like 9 seconds. It would update eventually. There it goes now. So we're going to go through the grid. Verstappen on softs, closing in quickly.
Although Owen has hit the jackpot on strategy, I don't think he was expecting Verstappen to be on softs here. And I'd be quite worried right now, Martin.
Max is going to catch him, no doubt about it. He's gained 3 seconds already and is absolutely flying. Both Red Bull on the softs. A bold move, but it's working. What you got, Ted?
What a race, guys. And now exciting chase for the win on the way. How about Aiden Jackson? He impressed us all last week and is doing it again today. If he can keep that car in the points here, that will be a mega result for that team.
Based off traffic behind him, I'd expect him to drop to about 10th, which would still be a point nonetheless for them. Also, once again, Liam Lawson having a respectable run as his teammate is scored down in 16th.
Sonoda is rebounding well from the pit lane chaos as well. He's run down Iwasa and could have time to get Lawson as well. Piastri is another one who has had speed, but no luck today.
Well, there you have, through the grid, Max Verstappen spent that whole segment just closing the gap. Now, everybody behind me is closing in on me. There's all faster cars behind me. That's just a sad reality compared to last season when it was, you know, one of us being the fastest cars. Perez passes Jackson now as he's on the softs, but yeah, I mean, there's not much we can do here. We're watching Verstappen close in. We should be able to hold off everybody else, but yes, Verstappen right now on the softs, he is absolutely insane on his pace, and he would close in to less than a second as we started lap 20. More chaos in the background. Perez has run down Hamilton as well as Norris and Ocon, and everybody's going at it right here. So Perez will go around the outside of Lewis now, and Mercedes not in the 1-2 anymore, of course. 7th and 18th with the DNF for Russell, and now Perez appearing to be setting up Ocon for a move, and he would drag race down the long straightaway towards turn number 3 and actually almost swerve right there at his former teammate. These two, of course, have a history of being teammates. Not a good one, though, as, well, Esteban Ocon doesn't get along with any of his teammates now. Unfortunately, there was nothing I could do. Verstappen's pace was unbelievable at this point in the Grand Prix. He was flying. He takes the lead of this Grand Prix, and I'm going to lunge it down into turn 1 a little bit too deep, actually, and just trying to stick with him, and I just overdrove the corner. Thankfully, I didn't hit anything there, but yeah, there was nothing I could do. Verstappen was just flying. Perez is now up into 4th, and he's probably going to get 3rd as well. So Red Bull is kind of back to where they used to be. We know they have speed. Last episode, they had some issues, of course, both drivers. There you see Pierre Gasly. He's going to go around the outside of the rookie of Jackson, but Jackson proved it last episode. He's proven it again here today. He's here to fight with these veterans of the sport. He's going to get the elbows out. He's going to make it hard on you, but you can see Gasly going around the outside. He'll move into P9 now. Yuki Tsunoda as well, going around the outside of Liam Lawson. Lawson definitely the next rookie in line behind Aiden Jackson that's been the most impressive. The two that have disappointed me so far is Iwasa and Pourchaire. And Pourchaire is the big surprising one to me. I expected more out of him as we come through into these closing moments of this Grand Prix. Final lap underway. So obviously we didn't have the speed today. We're not going to have the speed for a bit until we can get some more upgrades in this car. Perez in the 3rd, only 2.9 seconds back. But you know what? If we didn't make this bold and risky strategy call, we would have never been in position to fight for a win or even get a podium. And here we are in 2nd place with a car that looked like it had about 9th or 10th place speed all weekend long. Last season, I would have been a bit disappointed in a scenario like this. This season, with the slow start with this Honda partnership that has us on the back foot, I am thrilled with 2nd place as Max Verstappen's back to the top step of the podium again here in Season 3. We're going to cross the stripe to be on the podium as well. In P2, his Red Bull teammate is going to join him there. Perez in 3rd. It cut straight through. It didn't even have like a post-race, mark comment. It just cut straight through into the post-race podium stuff. I think that's maybe something that happens when red flags happen in this game. Is kind of weird. But nonetheless, I think Max Verstappen is pretty happy he decided to stick around because he is certainly living it up here now with another win this season. His first, of course, but he went all the last season winless until the very season finale in Abu Dhabi, and here he is winning in just the 2nd race of Season 3. Is he going to be a title threat again? Of course, he had a terrible season, never in title contention last time around. Red Bull only had 2 wins last season, one each driver, with Verstappen in Abu Dhabi, Perez in Miami. We're going to Miami in the next episode as well. So Perez, it'll be coming up on a 1-season anniversary without a victory for him, but still nonetheless a great result today for him. The soft tire was the way to go on that final stint. I wish I would have done that, but I just didn't think they were going to last as long as they did here today. So nonetheless, we take 2nd place. Cannot be more thrilled with that, with my fellow Red Bull program drivers. We of course come through the Red Bull program to be in this position that we are, and still have an opportunity to go to Red Bull at one point in time, as you can see the rest of the finishing order on your screen there. How does this wild and confusing and curveball style Grand Prix affect the standings? There you see Hamilton with a 1-point lead over Russell, 2 over Verstappen. We're up to 4th, 8 points behind with the heck of a finish that we got. Probably one one of my most favorite Grand Prix, maybe my favorite Grand Prix of the F1 career mode so far. I had everything. A red flag, a couple of moments with the safety car and the chaos there, and then of course the mixed weather that really threw some curveballs. It really did have everything in this Grand Prix. This is what Formula One is all about. And the constructors, we'll see very quickly before we end the episode on how that's been affected. We are P5 right now, 32 points on the board. Mercedes up top by 15 over Red Bull. That's going to wrap it up for me. I'll see you guys in the next one for round 3 in Miami. Thank you for watching. Have a great day, everybody.